have time in 6 months to take what you believe to be a violent individual off the street. You're saying that you would that overwork?
Yeah, we're low.
Austin police sex crimes detectives have to come in on their days off to work cases because they're so busy working patrol shifts as the department deals with a staffing shortage.
KXAN's Brianna Hollis reports as a result of this, we're seeing people suspected of violent sex crimes stay on the streets longer.
What I'm telling you is that I do have a caseload and I have a lot of other cases that come across my desk.
Austin sex crimes detective Andrea Middle testified in court last month, the culmination of one man's alleged criminal history stretching over a year. She says it's due in part to an APD staffing shortage, creating case delays.
I understand that might be hard to believe, but we are very low as far as what we have, and I'd like to make sure that my investigation is where it needs to be before I proceed with that.
The suspect, Douglas Vasquez, has a history in the justice system with a sexual assault allegation dating back to June 4th, 2022. Police believe he assaulted a woman near 6th Street. Days later, police say they pulled him over near UT after a woman said Vasquez was following her, according to court records. The next week, a different woman told police Vasquez got into her car at Barton Creek Mall and demanded sex. It would be 5 months before police arrested him for the alleged downtown sexual assault from June 4th. Court records show a judge lowered his bond and he was out of jail with an ankle monitor the next month.
Within his apartment.
Detective Middle explained in court, police believe Vasquez then committed a second sexual assault in March of this year at his West Campus home. It took 6 months for Middle to issue an arrest warrant in that case.
So you're asking me to say that I put it off for this long? But the reality is I have not had time.
They do get assigned more cases in their queue than they're capable of handling at any one time, just because of the staffing issues that we do have.
Last year, 20 sex crimes detectives worked an average of 165 cases each. The average closure rate was 31 days. Detectives now have to balance their casework with 60 hours of patrol shifts per quarter because of APD staffing shortage.
Oftentimes they're in on their time off. They're in on a Saturday or they're in on a Sunday. Of course, work coming in on your days off is voluntary, but a lot of our folks do. But whether or not it's sustainable over time.
What is the solution to address that? Because the staffing situation isn't going to get fixed anytime soon.
Absolutely. We're trying to think outside the box at the Austin Police Department. We have hired temporary civilian employees, retirees, that have helped us and supplemented us in different parts of our processes and our operations.
How do you prioritize cases when you're strapped with staff?
Priority would, of course, go for public safety. Is there a public risk? Is it a stranger case that's gaining attention? Is it going to cause a panic?
Commander Chris Vallejo, head of the sex crimes unit, who you just heard from, couldn't comment on Vasquez's case directly because it's still ongoing.
And Bree, there are other factors that can make sex crimes investigations take longer, right?
That's correct. There's often issues with DNA and evidence, and both police and advocates say survivors actually often determine the speed of investigations. As you can imagine, the trauma in these cases can often make it difficult for them to come forward to begin with and be comfortable sharing details throughout.
Well, we've been covering the APD staffing shortage closely here at KXAN, and this is all part of what the department says is contributing to the slowdown in cases and limiting those more proactive efforts. So where are we with staffing now here in the city of Austin?
According to the latest report, we're still down 345 officers, and the incoming cadet classes aren't enough to keep up with the rate of retirements and resignations. So the city says it'll take years to fully staff back up. But even with that staffing shortage, last year sex crimes detectives had their fastest closure rate since 2018. Yearly closure rates averaged around 31 days in 2022. 2020 was the outlier.
All right, well, Brianna, thank you very much for all of that. And last month, the City Council approved additional funding for APD's sex crimes unit. The department says a part of that money will help fund the civilian positions that Brianna mentioned in her story, plus 5 new positions for victim counseling services.
And unfortunately, it always feels like the need's going to outpace resources. Anybody that is a victim of crime, that time where they're waiting for justice is one of the most difficult periods of life. It just is.
And the City Council approved a total of $1 million in additional funding.